This episode is brought to you by Bleacher Report. How do you follow sports? From college football to the NBA, Bleacher Report brings you the latest news, live scores, and epic highlights from your favorite leagues, teams, and athletes, all in one app. Dive into exclusive shows hosted by your favorite athletes and original Bleacher Report series with breaking news, rumors, and predictions all season long. Download Bleacher Report to personalize your coverage.
Ampire. Hey babies, hey babies, hey babies. Super Bowl babies. Hi everyone. 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 What's up? How's everybody doing Christmas week? I already got my present. Playa. What's up? Had a quite a weekend.
I am surprised you have a voice after yesterday's game, to be completely honest.
It'll crack. You'll hear it. It'll crack.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, it cracked on your touchdown call. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, they've made me go there a few times this year, and you have to go there. You know, that's the way I feel about it. You just got to go there and let the chips fall where they may. Every once in a while, they give us a Tennessee game where I get to, kind of cruise into one of them. And yesterday was not that, and that was incredible. Absolutely, positively. I'm trying to rank these things now because it's impossible. The 4th and 11 run and the throw at the end of the game. What Zacchaeus told us in the locker room, he didn't even run his route on the second touchdown, that he just was found, now I'm like, all right, it's done, guys. Okay. It's just, I said this early. I'm like, guys, we have a very special player here. Let's see what happens, but we have a very special player here, and we do. We've been waiting for this guy for a very long time. Protect him at all costs. He is a unicorn, and he's breaking records, and he's reshaping our franchise. And I don't want to take anything away from everybody else, because we can get into everybody else, because the fact that they won isn't about one guy yesterday. When you turn the ball over 5 times, you need a lot of things to happen. But he was the biggest part of it. And the 4th and 11 run, that flipped the game around in a way that, shouldn't. This was one of those Superman, be Michael Jordan, go do something crazy. And he did.
The one, you're right. The 4th and 11 run was when I think the whole vibe shifted to not only are we gonna have a chance to win this thing, we just need to score fast and we'll be okay. And that's pretty much exactly what happened. Here was the other thing too, and which I loved. And of course, a lot of things are going to get lost in this because there's a lot of different storylines. But mine, last week, especially on my show, I kept reiterating, we haven't seen this guy play a team twice yet, really. Yes, they played the Giants, but the Giants are an inferior opponent. They should have beat him, playing him the first time or not, whatever, right? Playing them the first time or not, right? Remember after that Eagles game, all of a sudden it was NFL countdown, everybody saying, this Eagles secondary is amazing. Look at how high they are and all the stats and everything. And all I was thinking was, man, I want this guy to have a second shot. And yesterday, he picked them apart when it mattered. And that was the most impressive thing. And he did it on the ground too.
Yeah, my whole message last week in rewatching the Eagles game and getting ready for it, I'm like, you got to stay in the story for a moment. That was the worst setup ever. The team was screaming for a bye. Yep. He was still hurt. I know they had to play on Sunday too. It was a turnaround for them too, but they were the home team.
They got to rest, remember? They got
to rest because they had killed the Cowboys the week, but this is when the Cowboys were still in their lull. Cowboys are going to be looking for their revenge this weekend against them too. Watch. That game's probably going to end up being close. Watch. Especially if Hurts doesn't play. Watch. Might really be close. But I remember this was my message all week last week, because I rewatched and I'm like, he didn't play that poorly. He had a couple throws that he wanted back, but he wasn't moving the same way that he typically moves. And I went on with Kincaid up in Philadelphia, and we talked about this here on Friday, and I said it on both pregame shows, the Commanders one and our radio one. I go, this team hasn't seen him yet. They didn't see the real version of him yet. They didn't see the version that we know exists, that is all of a sudden back, that was doing overlooked in that New Orleans game was how good he was in that game. He made 8 crazy plays in that game too, but it was overlooked by the refs, the clock stoppage. They nearly blew the lead. Maybe they were lucky. Like everybody had just different, like they were lucky. Like, and I'm watching this going, no, they should have won 40-7. And I'm like, because his play determined how big it should have been. It was their own mistakes, the penalties and everything that kind of ruined drives. And yesterday it was their own mistakes that almost ruined it again. But this guy, he is a soul snatcher. Like we haven't had a player like this. He smiles through the whole thing. He's nonplussed about it after the game. Like you'd think he'd be bouncing off the walls. Nope. Totally cool, calm, collected. He's like, I'm born to do this. And we are really, really lucky to have him because I don't know. Someone asked, him at the end of his press conference, what's the ceiling for this team? And he goes, I don't know. And I got to be honest with you, I don't either. Because if they can make that many mistakes, play that poorly, and beat a team of that caliber anyway, well, time to start believing, people. Who knows, right? Who knows?
This goes back to the flow chart that I've been talking about all year, though. Like, it pretty much goes like, is Jaden Daniels playing? Then yes, they have a chance to win every single game. Like this is where we've landed now. Having this guy is even through 5 turnovers and being down by 20 plus points in the fourth quarter, they still have a chance to come back and win all of these games. I was listening to you guys in the third quarter into the fourth quarter on the way into the Caps production yesterday. And I remember Logan's number one concern after that long drive in the third quarter was like, I don't know if there's enough time, but I was kind of going, Logan, it's the modern NFL. This guy can score in like 60 seconds. Like
there's always enough time.
I was like, this isn't a Taylor Heineke led offense where they got to run it for 6 minutes. Like this is the NFL. He can do this. So yeah, like the fact is that he can run the offense like he can too in the crunch time is honestly just ridiculous. I think that's to me the most impressive part. It's getting to be insane that that we have the guy now that if you leave a minute 30 on the clock, you're going, oh, you left too much time on. Like he's going to get us down there. Like bare minimum, that's going to happen. And I think that's the most ridiculous part now.
Hold on. I got to find the stat that ESPN posted. Here it is.
With the rookies,
Jaden Daniels, 4 passing touchdowns in the final 30 seconds of the fourth quarter in overtime is the most by any player in a season since the merger. Any player.
So stupid. It's so stupid.
not rookie. Any player.
Any player.
Dan Marino, John Elway, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. Any of them.
Any.
Just pick any of them. Pick your favorite. He did that. He did that. So, like, the clutch gene is so absurd in him. And it's, there was a big part of me, and I don't know, like I just let the game play out, but I just kind of knew he was going to do it on that last drive. When they gave him the ball, but when Smith dropped that pass, I went, uh-oh, y'all done messed up, because the game should have been over. He catches that pass, game's over. They got a first down. Well, if he scored, I guess some miracle could have happened. But if he just goes down, then he probably would have. Game's over. We don't have enough timeouts. We don't get the ball back. And somehow, some way, the gods decided to make him bobble that ball and drop it. And all of a sudden I went, uh-oh. Like, you can't. This is the second week in a row, too. Last week, Darren Rizzi said, we went for 2 because we're not giving that guy the ball back. Yep. So if we lose, we lose. But I'm not losing to him. Like, we're at the point now where everyone around the league expects this to happen, too. And I bet if Sirianni was honest, he knew it too. Number 1 defense in the league. They put 36 points up on them, okay? Number 1 defense in the league. After 5 turnovers and really 6, because the first drive doesn't count as a turnover. It's a turnover on downs. It's almost mathematically impossible what they did to score the amount of points, to have the ball as many times as they did to score that amount of points. It's astounding, really.
Not to mention 20 plus points were in the fourth quarter against that defense. It's not like it was a slow build. Most of it came in the fourth quarter.
It's so funny. Like, Kincaid texted me right after the game. I already know what they're talking about up there. I can tell you, I already know what they're talking about. It was Pickett.
It wasn't, though. He didn't drop that ball. He didn't drop that ball at the end. He was actually not bad.
It wasn't. Like, and I saw someone, because someone, like was saying like, oh, it was Pickett. And I saw someone tweet out something like all the jerseys of all the quarterbacks the Eagles through the years and go, yeah, it's not the backup guys. And this is what I would say to that one. You guys got 5 turnovers, really 6, and you lost. Like, don't hit me. I don't care who the quarterback is. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. The likelihood, I'm sure there's got to be, Elias has to have a stat on this too. How many teams win when they're -4 in the turnover margin and really -5? Go show me that stat, because I don't care who the quarterback is on a 12-2 team. Don't at me on it was the backup. I don't even want to hear it.
No, and I mean, to do that also is to erase what the Commanders' defense did to Saquon in the second half, too. What did they hold him in the second half? It was like less than 30 yards or something. I know it was after the first quarter.
Yeah,
it was only
he
like
was 16 for 27 in the second half.
Okay, yeah. So after the first quarter, it was only like 42 yards or something like that. Like, you're erasing what the Commanders' defense did to dare you to pass the ball. And Pickett actually did pass the ball fairly well. Like, that was the most frustrating part in that fourth quarter was he was getting the ball off and then just floating up to AJ, and he was catching it. Like,
he didn't play poorly.
No, I thought he was fine.
What you guys are talking about? He was fine. There's nothing wrong with him.
He flipped the ball. He turned the ball over like right away in the first half. But other than that, like, that was a very solid performance. I'm not calling him all world or anything, but like, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault.
He got away with a fumble. Like, that was. I think that was a fumble. Like, he got away with that one.
The hand was going forward. I mean, it sucked. Like, they called it a fumble, and his hand on the replay was barely going forward. Like, it was a good call, but I hate the call. It was one of those ones.
Here's the other one that I love. They're screaming about Cornelius Lucas.
Oh my God. Yeah.
They jump in the snap. And I'm sitting there going, like, watching this and going, you guys do that every play.
Right. Do you know who Lane Johnson is? Because
what are you all talking about?
Yes.
You invented that. I've been for years. I asked Rivera about it. I asked Quinn about it the first time. I go, isn't that a false start? How is that not a false start? They've been doing this for years. They look like they jumped the snap. And Rivera, who was on the competition committee, told me, he goes, it's been talked about. He said, but it's so close to the snap that the referees don't call it. Like, it's not like people haven't pointed this out. So other teams started doing it. I thought it was so rich that these people actually brought that up. I'm like, are you kidding? You guys have been doing this for years, and I've been screaming, that's a false start on every play that you run with Lane Johnson. You're kidding me that you are actually saying that today.
This is like, I was going to get to this like probably later on, but like, everything you're saying in a nutshell is Philly's getting squirrely with us now. It's the best because it's every excuse and it's every little thing now. All of a sudden is you shouldn't have won that game. And all I'm thinking is, guys, you're coming off a 10-game win streak. You should be way more calm about this, but they're so squirrely about everything that happened yesterday that you can tell the paranoia, the Philly paranoia is setting in with them because it's every little thing. And all I'm going is, guys, you lost a division game to an opponent that, frankly has been on the upswing all season long. And even when this team was bad for the last couple of years, have had your number. So why are you just like completely losing your mind on this game? It's hilarious. And yes, that was the one that tipped me, was the false start one.
Guys,
wait a minute, this is actually something you guys are caring about because you do it every single snap.
Guys, we were leading in the fourth quarter of the aforementioned game that we had no business being in up in Philadelphia.
Right.
Like, if you go rewatch that, you'll go, they had every chance to win. Like, I going in didn't think they were going to, and I didn't ultimately think they'd be competitive. And there was a really bad 3-minute stretch where it totally went sideways. But we walked out of there going, you know what? This is just bad timing. No worries. We're good. We're good. And I will point Philadelphia to a story of a tale that happened earlier this season. It's funny. We used to break teams for different reasons. Remember, when they lost to us, they'd fire their coach. They would lose. They were like, we can't lose to them. It was basically the league telling you, we are not a team that's worthy of losing to. And if you lose to us, well, we have to do something about it. There must be something systemically wrong with us, right? No longer is that the case. Now they look at us and they go, oh God, like, are they going to break our souls? And I will warn you, because you guys have a history like last year of doing this, of unraveling. And we already unraveled a team this year. The Bears have not won since that Hail Mary. Similarly, okay, they have a very good roster, okay? They don't have near the amount of consistent success that you do. That's a big difference, right? That's a big difference. However, they do have one thing in common with you, and that is a head coach that I'm not sure that you guys really like all that much, and you can easily start to blame, right? And then we've already heard all the weird, this guy doesn't like that guy, and this guy's this, and this guy's that, and the whole time I'm sitting there going, guys, you haven't lost in 2 months. What's wrong with you? Like, how could you be this upset? So I actually thought Sirianni used the right word yesterday. And in his press conference, he said, because like there could have been knives out. This is Philadelphia now. They got 5 turnovers and lost. Okay. They could have come at him for anything and everything. And he just basically said sloppy. And I actually thought it was the right word for them to use for this, because their penalties, them not keeping their composure, they were complaining about CJ Gardner-Johnson's penalties. They're complaining about that. Well, he didn't do this. Then he double birded the fans walking off the field. Jalen Carter got called for a ticky-tack call, whatever, that happens. Marshawn Lattimore, one of the 3, was a ticky-tack call. We're not sitting here complaining over and over and over about it. And he said sloppy because their penalties, their substitution patterns, they had 10 people on the field once. They had 12 people on the field on the Zacchaeus touchdown that basically gave Washington the lead for the first time. Like, I actually thought Sirianni handled himself well there and just said, we were really sloppy. And I actually thought that was the right word for it, because if they are buttoned up at all, this game doesn't end up being close, or Washington doesn't win. They don't get the ball enough to win.
Yeah, on this, sloppy is the best word. And the reason why I think they got sloppy is because I think the Eagles were tilted a little bit coming into this game. They were a little bit too hyped to play the Commanders, which I was like, this is fine. If you're going to get all amped up for us, we're going to get all amped up for you. Like, I'm fine with this. I will let you lose your mind because you're going to be a little more sloppy than we are because you're the better team. Like, we shouldn't have to worry about that, and you are. And with Jalen Carter, I'm with you. Like, that was kind of a BS one.
It was a BS call. I'll be the first to admit it. That was a BS call.
But here's the thing, though. We've dealt with this here in this town. If your name is Tom Wilson, the refs are going to be watching you every step of the way, because if you do something you're stepping one toe out of line, they're going to call something on you. There it is. The play is over with. You give Cosme a little shove, and he trips over a foot. The refs see what they see. And so on that one, too, like, Jalen Carter, you got to watch yourself. Like, that's all I'll say. And even Olsen said it on the broadcast yesterday. He was like, that's a little bit of a reputation call. And that's exactly right. You got to watch yourself with those penalties. So, yeah, full tilt is what happened with the Eagles. They lost their mind on the way in. It was crazy.
So I will submit to you that the 2 best teams in the NFC, one of them is overconfident and cocky and does things that they shouldn't do in high leverage games because you can't go all in every hand, right? Sure. And the other one is unhinged. They're unhinged. Like, you don't know what's going to spiral them. And I'm telling you, go watch Dallas last night. Like, they're playing hard.
Yep.
Their defense played hard last night. I won't be shocked for a second if they go up there and upset them, especially if Hurts doesn't play. Let's see if Hurts plays. If he doesn't, and then all of a sudden, like, Philadelphia's going to win that last game because they're playing the Giants, and the Giants have the first pick, and there's just no chance, right? There's no chance they're going to lose that game. But you could feel they can't handle anything. They're totally unhinged. So when they get into a situation like the playoffs against, well, it'd be interesting to see if they played Detroit, because Detroit's going to do crazy crap, and they're going to lose their cookies. And that's hard to prognosticate which way that one's going to go. But the second week in a row, they did this too. They read the headlines, right? and they try to show you on the field that you're wrong. They're one of those teams. Last week, after A.J. Brown did the passing game is the problem, and then Brandon Graham goes on WIP and says he and Hurts aren't friends anymore, they walked out, and the first thing they did was force passes to A.J. Brown to start the game. They came out throwing over and over and over. They're so confident in what they do. They want to shut everybody up at the same time. Winning's not good enough for them. They have to go shut everybody up. Would they do this week? They went out of their way to go at Lattimore. Out of their way. They were trying to pick fights with the Commanders. Like, there wasn't any tough talk coming from down here. Like, Brian Robinson said one thing on the Junkies. They got some play up in Philadelphia, but I don't even think that was that big of a deal. All he said was, we think we're the better team. He didn't say anything about them specifically. And I qualified that with, he's just an overconfident dude. And, like, I don't have a problem with that. And honestly, he owes us one. Because if there was one guy who had a really bad game, and it's shocking because I can't remember the last time Brian Robinson had a really bad game, but it was this one. He almost cost us in this one. He owes us one. So I hope his revenge comes next week against Atlanta because we need it. But Philadelphia, like, it was so obvious early that they were the ones that felt offended and felt like they needed to send a message here. So, you know what? That typically doesn't end up winning the big ones because your focus isn't where it's supposed to be. This team's focus, no matter what happened in the course of this game, was where it was supposed to be. The Eagles, they beat themselves in a game they had no business losing. We gifted them that. Like 5 turnovers. How did you lose? How?
No, I mean, this goes back to what I was sounding off on last week, where Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown have a great game. And the first thing, he's not even asked a question. Jalen Hurts does so that's what you all wanted to see, right? And yes. all I wanted to say was, you guys caused your own drama. The media didn't drum this one up. Like, this is all on you guys. Like, this is not the Philadelphia media. As much as they would have loved to make up this story, this one was literally every single one of you guys every step of the way. And that's what I go to yesterday was, there's no storylines. This was all on you guys once again. There was nobody putting any kind of weird narratives or anything on there. Once again, by the way, you couldn't get it going with Saquon Barkley. And when that doesn't happen, your team falls apart. That should actually be the storyline here is when he's not going, you guys fall apart. And look what happened in the second half. You give up 20 plus points in the fourth quarter. Like, good luck with that.
I got to go look up which drive it was, but it was in the second half when, like, they were throwing on 3rd and short and like 4th, like they were throwing on these 3rd and shorts. And I like looked at, I said to London and Logan on the air, I'm like, why aren't they relying on Barkley? Like, this is the point where, you know, I don't know. Hasn't he done enough to kind of show you that he's the best player on your team and the most reliable player on your team? And if you need 2 yards and you can't do this tush push because Hurts isn't out there, why wouldn't you give it to him? Like, what are you doing?
The stat I loved on the Eagles coming into this season was because of the Giants. The Giants had the worst offensive line stat of running backs getting touched after they get the ball last year. The best offensive line in the league of getting their running backs as far down in the field without getting touched is the Eagles. Like, they'll get 2 yards without being touched for the first time. I'm with you. I couldn't believe that they weren't relying on him because that's what they've done all year too. And it's not like Hurts was out there. Pickett was playing. Like, it was, they were their own worst enemy in the fourth quarter yesterday.
And, this is just, you could just feel it. Like, they let the outside noise get to them in a way that is probably going to ruin them. Like, they're clearly, they're going to win the division because all they need to do is win one of the next 2, which means they're going to have a home game, which means they're going to be the 2 seed, which means we might play. Well, they probably don't want to play us again. They're probably hoping we get the 6th seed at this point. I don't think they want to play us again. Probably not.
Right. No. I mean, that was always kind of, you know, I didn't want to say I wanted the Eagles, but I would say Jaden Daniels a 3rd time against that team. I would like to see it. I'm just saying, like, I don't know what's going to happen. But
the other one too, even the other day when I was on with Kincaid and he was like, don't hit me with this beating a team 3 times as hard. I'm like, you haven't beaten us twice yet, pal.
That's right. Yes. Right.
What are you talking about?
Right. Exactly right. Yeah. 100%.
And our quarterback, he ain't listening to the noise at all.
Right.
Not that there is any, because we've never seen anything like this here. And he is the Christmas miracle of all Christmas miracles.
Once
Amazing.
again, too, by the way, it's always really funny going to the comment section of Jaden Daniels whenever he has a highlight, because of course it's a lot of praise, but then there are a few people that are doubting. I just want to say he threw touchdowns to Jamison Crowder and Zacchaeus yesterday, who previously had 0 touchdowns on either side of him.
2 each.
Yeah, 2 each. Yes, sorry, 2 each. Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, he found Terry McLaurin one more time in there as well. Like, I'm sorry, this guy with what he's working with is legitimately unbelievable right now. Like, and the fact that they found McLaurin as wide open as they did yesterday was crazy.
At every turn, it's like, Noah Brown's here. You don't have a number 2 receiver. I guess we do.
They're all number 2. Like,
they're all number 2. They're all number 2.
Yeah.
Terry's catch was ridiculous too. That was ridiculous. That was absurd. His numbers, he tied a franchise record yesterday for most touchdown receptions in a single season. He could break that the next couple of weeks. The other one was the Joe Namath, Don Maynard stat. Did you see that one?
No, what was that one?
Jaden Daniels is the first rookie quarterback to have 12 touchdowns to a single receiver since Joe Namath and Don Maynard. That's the only other duo to do that. They're both in the Hall of Fame.
Wow. That's crazy. That's ridiculous.
And if you had any questions anymore, Terry McLaurin's name is going in the Ring of Fame. Not that I actually think that was much of a question, but if this season didn't solidify it as he is one of the greatest players to ever come through here, then you don't know what you're looking at. Like
you can attest to this. 2 years ago, I called him the best wide receiver in franchise history. I called it early, but
he hasn't passed Charlie Taylor yet or Art Monk. It's hard because the numbers are so out there, and Art Monk won Super Bowls. So until we get there, it's hard for me to do that. But he's number 3,
right,
to me.
Right.
Number 3 and rising quickly. Yeah.
The other side of this too, and I'm sure you're going to agree with me here, is I don't know if there's a guy that's ever been so universally loved by this franchise and this fan base. Like, they get him the ball and the crowd wakes up a little bit. Like it's a little I compared it yesterday to like when Stone Cold used to come out in WWE, you'd hear the glass break. When he gets his first reception, the whole crowd gets up and starts chanting his name. Like, next week, if I'm Cliff, I'm saying we got to get the crowd going early. We're going to Terry like 2 or 3 times in the first drive just to get the crowd going, because there's an energy that comes in when he gets a ball that goes crazy in the stadium.
I'm surprised too. The crowd really likes it when Luke McCaffrey returns kickoff. We're chanting his name too.
I mean, that's an easy chance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like, don't give the crowd too much credit on there. I'm a part of it, but don't give him too much credit.
God, I want to go on Kincaid's show tomorrow. Now I'm just like, I just have so much to say to him.
You should have gotten the rebuttal. You should have been like, if we win, I want to come back on Monday. That should have been your deal with him.
Yeah. All right, let me take a quick break. Bram Watson Show, ESPN 630 Sports Capital.
The holidays are about spending time with your loved ones and creating magical memories that will last a lifetime. So whether it's family and friends you haven't seen in a while, or those who you see all the time, share holiday magic this season with an ice-cold Coca-Cola. Copyright 2024, The Coca-Cola Company.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the all-electric Prologue SUV, there's a lot that could impress you about it. There's the generous passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
All right. here we go. Next week, we get to see what is a playoff game for the Falcons. For Washington, they have to win one of their final two and they're in. Or actually a Falcons or Buccaneers loss actually along the way here, and they're in. So there's a lot of different routes, and it's very likely that Washington's in. I will say this for the same thing that I said about watch out with Dallas and Philadelphia next week. They're playing really hard. So that's not going to be a cupcake at the end of the season. And Dallas, honestly, like that's the one game of the year where I thought we were outclassed across the board was when we played Dallas. So, you know, I'd like to see this end this weekend. For Atlanta, this is it. They have to win this game. It's really a playoff game for them. Penix had his debut. Obviously, there was on at the same time. So I haven't seen it yet. I'll watch it this week. They had 2 defensive touchdowns, and the Giants are terrible. You know, they've really folded up the tents. So I don't know what to make of it yet until I see most of it. But we got a playoff game Sunday night.
No, and I mean, I expect the crowd to be the best crowd of the year too. I think yesterday, we didn't really talk about it last segment. I think there was a reason why there were so many Eagles fans this week, and it was because I think Commanders fans unloaded their tickets knowing this game wasn't as important. That's just my
I think these were bought early. This is a carryover of these bad secondary market deals that the previous administration had, and they're trying to unwind a lot of this stuff. And I think in the not too distant, it's part of the story that the people don't talk about. Everyone thinks that the Commanders fans are buying the tickets and selling them. Like, there's these deals with these secondary market brokers, and they ended up selling the tickets in the other markets, which is why so many fans ended up showing up here. And the new administration is trying to unwind a lot of that. So I'm hoping in the years to come, not only does the season ticket base go back up, hopefully because the team is successful, but they get out of these deals where it's easily accessible to fans from other markets.
I think the secondary part of that, though, is Commanders fans weren't exactly seeking this one out. They were seeking the Falcons game out because really when we kept, when you kept unpacking everything last week, it was essentially this Eagles game doesn't matter that much. It's the Falcons game. If they win, they're probably in. So I feel like if you were going to go to a game during holiday time, by the way, like let's not discount that weekend before Christmas, weekend before New Year's, those are 2 weird time periods in this area specifically. So I kind of looked at it like that, but I'm going to look at next week as this better be the best home crowd of the year because it's you win and you're in, and we haven't had one of these in a long time.
So I'll be watching Penix later this week. We'll get to it later this week. Let's see. Lions bash the Bears, so they're fine. Chicago continues to lose. I still think the injuries on defense may be the problem for them when they play the playoff competition that they're going to play. But because of the Eagles' loss now, if they can get the 1 seed, then they get that extra week off, which maybe helps them get some reinforcements or get rested or whatever. I think they have too many injuries on defense to win it all, which I thought it was their year. It just felt like it was their year. And maybe it still is, but it's going to have to happen with their offense being unstoppable. Them beating the Bears only just says to me, and the way that they did it was they're willing to go into the fight knowing that they don't have a full deck, but they're going to be tough to beat anyway.
The other thing here too is like, I'm just wondering, Ben Johnson's been in his bag all year. The fake fall over thing that happened yesterday.
That was pretty good.
All I'm thinking is like, dude, what are you saving for the playoffs? Because like, that was genius. I don't know if you saw the real breakdown. Like the Lions players all yelled fumble to screw up the Bears players. So they all kind of scrambled. I'm just saying, like, I know we have our own gripes with Ben Johnson in this area, but like, all I'm thinking is, dude, what are you saving for the playoffs? Because you have been in your bag all season long. And the fact that you were pulling that out against the Bears yesterday tells me like you guys are pulling out no stops here.
This reminds me, remember when they did the quarterback series and Mahomes and Reed admitted that they do that thing called the lab where they let the players make stuff up because there's trust. Remember they did Ring Around the Rosie and all those crazy things. And I think like it's dangerous because if this stuff blows up in your face, it looks really bad and then the media will get on you about it. But they're like so confident in one another that they're messing around. And that's embarrassing. Like this is one of those, this is like to me, like this is like when Dallas brought the benches or when your rival does it to you and just messes with you, it sticks with you. Yes. And that was incredible because Jahmyr Gibbs sold it hard. Goff, I mean, he had to practice stumbling. Like he had to,
yes.
to pull this off. He had to practice stumbling. It was pretty amazing.
Well, I mean, the best part about that is it's a play off of the handoff that ended that Thursday nighter against the Packers game. Like, the best part is they played off of a mistake that happened. It's ridiculous. Once again, I want to know what book of secrets he's going to pull out once they make the playoffs, because there's clearly stuff that they're holding on to for when they get in.
Listen, we were hoping for a bunch of miracles because, we needed the score to go our way to kind of qualify. And Atlanta obviously didn't beat them. And the Rams got a win on the road because Netflix star and his teammates were beaten by Los Angeles. So, they were hanging in there. But, they're another one that clearly have just completely lost their way entirely. And that's a start from scratch. Incredibly with an amazing roster, and it's a start from scratch. So let's see who gets control of that thing and if they can get literal control of it.
I couldn't believe the spread on this game was only 3 points. I thought it was the lock of the week. Like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, we've lived this here. When you have those crazy storylines come out, some media likes to say like, oh, they're going to put it behind them. Not when your season's going like this. And I just couldn't believe it. Not only that, it was 3 points. And then before kick yesterday, it went down to 2.5. And I was like, what is going on here? And they were easily dispatched yesterday. That Jets team, that's about as big of a mess as we've seen in this modern era. Like, the next person that signs on is going to have to say, I don't want your son. I don't want your kids around the team. Like, good luck with all that. Good luck with that whole entire situation.
They ought to all go on a darkness retreat together. Do ayahuasca together. And see what happens.
Yeah, then we get Johnson & Johnson, prescription ayahuasca. That's what ends up happening.
Listen, you make it worth this administration's while, and they'll hear you out on anything.
It's true. You are correct.
They'll hear you out on anything.
That's right. Yep.
They love Bitcoin. So you never know. You just never know. Let's see. Oh, you take the bus. This was actually predictable. The Panthers, like Dallas, have been playing really hard like the last few. Just haven't gotten any wins. And there go the Cardinals. Bye-bye. Nice season.
Coin flip. I've been calling them coin flip all year. There's a reason why they're 500 throughout the entire season, and I'm not surprised they lost this one. You and I have talked about the Panthers. They played really well in the second half, actually.
They did. Let's see. I buy the Vikings. I just do. I will have to see it to believe it with Darnold in the playoffs.
Yep.
We'll have that's the part I got to see to believe. But they've proven enough to me. I turned the corner about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I didn't believe it up until about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And then we started playing some common opponents. So I ended up preparing for games and watching them and going, oh, this is real. And it's not even just Darnold's playing at an extraordinarily high level. And they obviously have stud wide receivers. Their defense is just fooling the crap out of everybody. And they get these really well-timed pressures and they blow drives up. And, with Detroit's injury issues, if the Vikings win next week, they're going to play Detroit week 18. That'll be for the 1 seed. So don't call me shocked when they have it, by the end of all of this.
I think no matter what, off of yesterday, KOC is coach of the year. I know a lot of people have been kind of clamoring for it, but I think off of yesterday, that's a tough place to play. We wanted to see it with Darnold. We've now seen it. I think he's coach of the year, mainly because of the expectations coming in too, right? I think that's a part of this factor. Everyone expected Detroit to be good. So Dan Campbell's probably not going to be in the run as high of the running there. I think he's coach of the year. And I'm with you. I'm waiting to see it with Darnold. But at the same time, you just got to chuck it up to those two wide receivers. That's not a bad game plan, right? No. That's the way it should go. And you have a really good defense on the other side that can overcome the mistake or two that he's going to make throughout the game.
Speaking of coach of the year, oh boy, I think Mike McCarthy's keeping his job in Dallas.
Yep.
I mean, it's been kind of heading that way. And then the players co-signed it the last couple of weeks. A number of the prominent players, even Micah, prominently were putting out there, we think he should stay here. After they re-signed Dak, I was kind of you've made your bed with this offense. Why would you change McCarthy unless things go sideways in the locker room? And they really haven't. They've been extraordinarily competitive. And last night, their defense came to kill people.
Yep.
the secret to them for years. I won't talk to Dan Quinn about it more because he would know, obviously, with that personnel. Their safeties will come up and hit you. And that's really, to me, like, Mike is a great player, but that to me is what kind of elevates them as a defense. You have to fear them on the back end. Their secondary players will come up into the A gaps. They will hit the running backs. They will support the run game, and they kill people. If you throw a lazy pass over the field like Baker tends to do, they will make you pay for it. And so I think, McCarthy, also Jerry's very loyal. Like, don't forget, they went on and on and on with Jason Garrett for years when people were asking them. He's very loyal. He doesn't really want people to, he talks a big game, but in the end, he does pay people and he rarely fires them. So I think McCarthy's going to be there next year.
I think yesterday was a prime example, too, of the Buccaneers walking into that stadium and thinking it was going to be a cakewalk, and then they got punched in the mouth, and they didn't know how to respond. Like,
no,
those hits that kept on coming through the second half, too, they were shell-shocked. And I credit Dallas for playing hard and winning a game like that. Like, the Buccaneers didn't know what to do. I mean, simply put, they didn't know what to do because I don't think they expected them to play that hard. So
no.
I commend the Cowboys and that defense for really winning that game yesterday.
Saturday was they are who we thought they were. Chiefs get a statement win. Tank Delsing was terrible. That was awful.
That was bad.
Chiefs get a statement win. They just keep winning. Like, I'm done with they're lucky. I don't know what it is, but they get away with it every single week.
I told you not to go against the Magic.
And the Ravens, boy, did they pounded Pittsburgh. So the Pittsburgh balloon is losing some air.
Yep.
And I can't believe that Pickens is a great player, but without him, their offense just goes sideways the last couple of weeks. So Russ can stop yelling about a contract extension until the offense turns back around and they start winning some of these big late season games. And, outside of the Bills, who do you trust more than those two to end up in the Super Bowl?
Not only that, and I've said this all year long, the worst part about the Chiefs, and I guess the best part for them is that they're winning all these close games. That they don't show any panic, that they know, we just need to keep this sucker close. And then we've got, that Patrick Mahomes guy to lock things in. More so, though, their defense has been really good all year. That's been the lost story, I think, of this entire NFL season, is just how good the Chiefs defense has been.
Yes.
And that's going to win them probably an AFC championship bare minimum. Like, they're just going to keep this thing close. Like, we'll see what happens in the playoffs. But the fact that they keep winning these close games with a really good defense, that's what wins you a championship again. So
the storyline of the Super Bowl is, can the Chiefs defense stop Jaden Daniels when it matters?
Jeez. Wow. Jeez.
Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. Not getting ahead of myself. Let's see. Bengals are surging. I pointed this out last week. Schedule lines up for some Michigas here at the end of the season. They get Denver this weekend. Yep. They have to beat them. I think they will. And when they do, the Chiefs are actually going to be the team that decides whether Denver makes the playoffs or not. Because if the Chiefs lay down, Denver's in. And if the Chiefs beat them and the Bengals win, Bengals will leapfrog them and get in. And if I'm the Chiefs, I want nothing to do with Joe Burrow in the playoffs. Nothing to do with it.
There's so many factors here, though. Like, do you trust the Bengals to actually win that game against the Broncos? Like,
yes.
I don't know if I do. Like,
have you watched Denver's defense the last few weeks? Burrow's going to light them up. This game might be high scoring, but Burrow's going to light them up.
It has started, though, on ESPN of the, like, if the Bengals get in, like, who wants them? And everybody's nobody wants that smoke. Nobody wants Burrow, who's going to be playing with nothing to lose as a road team the whole entire time. Good luck with that. Good luck with that AFC side. Have fun with that.
And then the last one's this. Raiders won, so the Giants have the top pick. So how does Dion and Shador feel about this?
Right.
Someone needs to ask them, because I heard Dion do an interview the other day, and he was like, nobody's like, Shador's the top pick and nobody's trading the top pick. And then someone said something about the Giants and he just reiterated that. But how does he really feel about the Giants having the top pick? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And it'll be funny if Joe Shane is still in the job and they do Hard Knocks and he explains to Dion he's not taking his son. That would be perfect.
That'd be great. That'd be must watch.
He should call Saquon and ask him who should he pick.
That's right. Yeah.
That'd be perfect. All right, be right back. Brainwashing Show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital.
one more act for you this evening. I don't even need to say his name. Mr. Bob Dylan.
A Complete Unknown is now a Golden Globe and Critics' Choice nominee for Best Picture.
Bobby, what do you want to be?
Whatever it is they don't want me to be.
Timothée Chalamet astonishes as Bob Dylan in one of the best performances of the year.
Through the bums of dime in your prime.
And critics rave Edward Norton is absolutely fantastic.
70,000 people are here, and Bobby is the reason for it.
This Christmas.
They just want me singing Blowing in the Wind for the rest of my life.
How does it feel? Don't miss the movie critics are hailing 5 stars.
To be on your
It's pure cinematic magic.
Turn it down!
play loud.
And named to AFI and the National Board of Review's top 10 films of the year.
Make some noise, BD. Track some mud on the carpet.
A Complete Unknown. Only in theaters Christmas Day. Rated R. Under 17 and admitted without parent.
For over 50 years, Burlington's legacy has been great deals on coats for all weather conditions. So before you're caught unprepared for the winter weather, head to Burlington for name brands, quality items, and surprising fits for every family member. Stock up on coats, sweaters, and accessories before the cold hits, so you can finally stop avoiding the elements and start living comfortably. Warm up at your nearest Burlington location less than 1 mile away. Burlington. Deals, brands, wow.
This episode is brought to you by AWS. Amazon Q Business is the new generative AI assistant from AWS. Many tasks can make business slow, like wading through mud. Help! Luckily, there's a faster, easier, less messy choice. Amazon Q can securely understand your business data to help you streamline tasks, like summarizing quarterly results or doing complex analyses in no time. Q got this. Learn what Amazon Q Business can do for you at aws.com/learn more.
You know, when last we did this show, Elon Musk had tanked RFK.
Right.
And then I woke up Saturday morning and they figured out some legislative maneuver that got all 100 senators
unanimous
to sign on to sending the RFK deal as a standalone to the president's desk. So we're all assuming that he's going to sign it if he wakes up from his long slumber and puts, like, someone has to probably weekend at Bernie's, hold his hand down and write his name.
Give him a poke. Come on.
Yeah. They're going to push his hand down. So anyway, this sounds like this is on again. So we got our first Christmas miracle of the weekend. RFK's back all of a sudden. And Muriel and company, the ball's in your court. Let's go.
What actually sounded like what the chatter was overnight and into Saturday was that the Musk thing almost galvanized people to go, oh, crap, he was wrong. I don't want to be on that side of history, essentially. Not saying like getting this bill is some piece of big history, but you know what I'm saying here. I think what it did is galvanize people of like, oh, he was wrong. We should probably not get this through because of what he said about the whole funding thing. And here it is. It unanimously goes through. And you even had, I follow Mark Ein on Instagram, and he tweeted about how great the game was. And then he puts on his Instagram story, and now I'm driving by RFK. What a weekend. And I'm like, oh God, we're really diving into it over here. Like, come on now. So
like, we all know what we want the outcome to be. Let's just play it cool.
but even I was like, all right, Mark, cool. Like, soft launch with RFK up there on Instagram.
Westmore's a good guy. Let's just play it cool. Let's play it cool a little bit.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
So amazing. You know, I can't believe it happened. And let's see where it goes from here. It's not over by a long shot. The DC City Council and the mayor have to agree. I think they will, but they have to do that. And then it will come down to money. And how much money is this district going to put up for this, as opposed to whatever Maryland's deal is going to be. So it's not over yet, but I'm very excited. And hopefully we'll see if that plays out. All right, last thing real quick. Capitals. Hey, good one against the Canes and survived the Kings, whatever, 3-1 empty netter. Tom Wilson wearing a helmet's weird looking, but whatever. I know he got hit in the face. And then they got to play again tonight. So in Boston.
Yeah, in Boston.
I mean, it screams lost 3 games in 4 days, but we'll see.
It does. But what I'll say is both of these games, the Canes and the Kings games, low scoring, Caps locked in defensively, good goaltending. They got a really good save in each of these games. what's crazy is the evolution of the Caps here over the last 3 weeks. And Spencer Carberry talked about it, before the game yesterday, where he was like, we've evolved a little bit. We were scoring 5 and 6 goals against everybody in the first half of the year, or, what they played so far. And now we're in these 2-1, 3-1 type games and kind of just locking in defensively without the big guy, without Ovechkin playing. So as far as tonight goes, I'm with you. It should be a scheduled loss, but you know how I always feel on these weird little stretches. 2 of 3, you've already won. So you've already got 4 of the 6 points in a tough stretch. I don't know, if you play a tough road game against the Bruins, I could see them winning this one 2-1 or 3-2 or something like that. But to me, it's all gravy already heading into the break. So I just want a good effort tonight. And if they lose, they've already set themselves up really well. The game to win was Friday. The fact that they beat the Hurricanes as good as they did, that was the most impressive win of the 3 of the 4.
Caps and Commanders, they're kind of on the same weird track this year. Like, we got a Hail Mary. Like, we won giving up 5 turnovers to a really, really, really good team. The Caps scored an own goal and won anyway. Like, they've had a weird year too. Like, you
would have appreciated this too. Walton gave a little shout out to the Commanders to start the broadcast out yesterday, because he was going, any of you guys listening, driving out from Landover, how about those Commanders? So,
all right.
He's trying to get the synergy going a little bit between you guys.
All right. It'll be reciprocated. Tell John I'll reciprocate that.
Well, next week, by the way, before you go, it's opposite. The Caps play again at 5:00 next Sunday into the Commanders-Falcons game. So
good job, NHL.
2 thumbs up.
Great job.
Yeah.
Great job. Why don't you guys just put like a doubleheader over the Super Bowl? Why don't you do that? Just do that.
Right.
Ding dongs. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Merry Christmas, everybody. Very much enjoy. Be on 630 Sports Capital.